I welcome all of you here tonight. Thank you very much for coming out. And at this point, it looks like he's gonna have to go on the payroll. We've got Reverend Jasper Farmer with us again tonight, who's gonna have the invitation. So, Reverend, it's all yours.
Don't call me Reverend.
Well, you earned the title, so.
All right, thank you. Let's pray. Gracious, loving Heavenly Father, Lord, we do thank you for this evening that we gather here together to do the business of our town. We pray, Lord, that you would bless these that are, Lord, will be making the decisions that is very important to us as citizens of this Iredell County, South Iredell. Lord, we just thank you for it. And we pray, Father, that you would bless and you would undertake. And Lord, the coming election is coming up. I know, Lord, we have different opinions, but I pray, God, that the right one will be elected, that this town, Lord, would have the results of a good leader. And Lord, we also pray for those students in South Iredell that was injured in this accident, and the other lady or person that was injured. I pray, God, that you would touch them and you would bring them back to good health. And again, I pray, God, that what's done here tonight, Lord, that you would receive glory and honor, and it all come out to benefit this people and this great town of Troutman. And we thank you for it. In Jesus' name, we pray. And amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Were you just in time? Are you just in time?
I'm aware of 3 amendments to tonight's agenda. First amendment will appear as item 8.5, South Iredell High School homecoming parade request. The next item will appear as item 19.1, consideration of accepting a grant offer for police department. And the third amendment will appear as item 19.2, consideration of amendment to the fee schedule for the town. Are there any other amendments to tonight's agenda? Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda as amended? T-Rob and Sally. Well, with the business spotlight tonight, we have we're rushing back to the racetrack. Somewhere up to the west, down in this part of the country, we have Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. T-Rob Young, with some dying to find out something, no excuse medical.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to ask Councilman Hinkle to read my script for me, if he doesn't mind.
Thank you, sir. No Excuse Medical is a family-owned medical equipment company with over 70 years combined medical experience. The company moved to Troutman in 2004 under the ownership of Alan Drawlin, president. They currently have 5 employees. The company has been a trusted resource for the medical community because of their knowledge, compassion, and commitment to providing the best equipment. They have a large showroom where you can see, touch, and or use equipment before purchasing. They have sold and installed stair lifts, chair lifts, and vehicle lifts for many years. The company's founder and president has been a manual wheelchair user for over 22 years. They have personal experience with every product that they sell, such as wheelchairs, power wheelchairs, scooters, lift chairs, and bath safety equipment. No Excuse Medical will provide you with in-home service on any power wheelchair, scooter, lift chair, or stair lift that was purchased from us for as long as you own the equipment. You can visit the company's website at noexcusemedical.com or stop by their showroom at 693 North Main Street here in Troutman. You can also reach them by phone at 704-873-9000 or email at allen@noexcusemedical.com.
Thank you, Councilman Hinkle. At this time, I believe we've got the president here, and ask him if he wants to come forward and say a few words.
My name's Alan Brawley. I'm with No Excuse Medical in the north end of town up near Barium Springs. Anytime that I do anytime that I get an opportunity to talk, I always like to do an exercise just to see if people are paying attention. If you can read what's on that piece of paper. Now, if you can tell me what it said.
I love Paris in the summertime.
Paris in the summertime?
I love Paris in the summertime.
There's two D's. One other thing real fast. Everybody raise their right hand, put your thumb and your index finger together, and put it on your chin or your cheek. Got that wrong. Can I tell you where I got to where I'm at? I was in a car accident, it'll be 25 years this December. And I'm an Idaho County boy, born and raised. And my equipment came from a company in Charlotte. And every time I'd have a question or an issue on it, I'd call them and they'd say, well, we don't really know, we just sell them. We don't know any of the technical parts of it. So I always thought it'd be really nice if there was a company in Idaho County that knew and understood equipment and could provide service on it. So we started in Mooresville in 2002. We moved into the Randy's Old Furniture Gallery building in December 2004. And we've got a display out up front. We do lift chairs, wheelchairs, walkers, canes, scooters, power chairs, stair lifts, vehicle lifts, and bath safety equipment. We have the largest showroom of anybody in this area. We have a lot of customers that come to us from Charlotte, Gastonia, Lincoln, and Concord, just primarily for our selection. We provide in-home service to every piece of equipment. If we've sold it or didn't sell it, we still provide service on it. We provide service in the store, out of our store, and in the home. And so if you have any needs for anything like that, please call us. And we're on the north end of town, stop in to see us anytime. We appreciate Troutman, we appreciate being in Troutman. Troutman's been good to us. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
So this is a certificate, on behalf of the town council, residents and the greater Troutman community, Mayor Albert H. Richardson and Mayor Pro Tem T. Ross Young recognize No Excuse Medical as the business spotlight of the month for the company's knowledge, compassion, and commitment to providing outstanding medical equipment to the community since 2004, and for being a central resource for the medical community. This day of October 2015, signed by the mayor and myself.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling Troutman Home.
I would like to add to what Alan said about he serviced, whether he sold it or not, experience with Alan, a lot of it, and he's there, and he will come to nursing homes too, fix things that he didn't sell.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hinkle, for reading that for me.
The educational spotlight tonight is on Troutman Elementary School and the Career Academy Technical School. Councilmember Judy Javante. What are we doing you guys tonight?
We have information to share with you from Troutman Elementary and from CAPS. Troutman Elementary School was recognized nationally by the United States Department of Agriculture for a Best Practice Award for the promotion of a healthy and nutritious breakfast program. We are so proud of this accomplishment. The cafeteria staff at TES has worked very hard to ensure our students have the opportunity to eat a hot breakfast in the cafeteria or a grab-and-go breakfast in the classroom. We would especially like to thank and recognize our cafeteria manager, Sherry Saunders, and the PE teacher, Danette Clendenin, for their vision in the development of the grab-and-go breakfast program. The grab-and-go breakfast is part of the Fuel Up to Play 60 initiative that not only promotes a healthy school breakfast, but also asking students to commit to exercising every day and selecting and eating healthy and nutritious foods. TES and the Iredell Statesville School System is extremely proud of the recognition bestowed on our child nutrition program, Ms. Saunders and Ms. Clendening. Secondly, Troutman Elementary School was recognized by Iredell Statesville Schools and the March of Dimes for being the top fundraiser in 2015. TES collected over $3,000 to support life-saving research and programs that end premature birth, birth defects, and the infant mortality. Special recognition belongs to Kelly Trudell, first grade teacher at TES and March of Dimes chairperson for the school. Her passion and commitment to the work this organization does is evident in the amount of money raised by TES every year. Second, we would like to recognize CATS. In the lobby, you will find their monthly newsletter for anybody who's interested in picking one up. Popular Mechanics, along with Quaker State, had a challenge which was called Best in Class Challenge. And these students at CATS in the ATC program were a finalist. They are representing North Carolina in the competition. There's an Atlanta market, a Chicago market, a Northern New Jersey market, and an Orlando market. This is to see what the most talented high school auto shop classes can do with a $3,000 used car. Auto shops all across the country are competing for your vote. What can you do with a $3,000 used car? Tune it, restore it, and customize a used car into a fine-tuned, pristine, and exceedingly cool ride. For the 6 weeks beginning October 12th through November 23rd, the challenge will still be on. They have rules, they have regs, and all they're telling us is to stay tuned because they don't know any more than they've told me at this point. Secondly, there's another competition at the school, which is also in the auto area. There is a competition sponsored by Technician Magazine, with also a co-sponsor, Wicks Filters and O'Reilly Auto Parts. They placed first in Region 2 in the Southeast region. That places them among the top 4 in the country. The 3 other schools are all community college programs. I have no other further information, but the school that wins this contest, there's a host of prizes. So we'll just stay tuned. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody from the school here? You all right?
Not this evening.
Thank you. The next item we have recognized tonight is a South Ireland High School IB project partnership with the County Police Department. And Mr. Luke Swing is going to educate us a lot based on this sheet I got here that he's going to talk to us about. Chief?
Good evening. My name is Luke Swing. I'm a sophomore at South Iredell in the IB program. And it's the NYP program, the middle years. It starts in 6th grade. I went to Mount Moore up in Mooresville, and now I'm up here at South. And a major part of completing 10th grade in IB program is that we must have a pretty major project that we develop ourselves, and we have to have a pretty significant end goal in mind that can go along with that. And I want to do something with an interest of mine, and law enforcement and local government has always been a pretty significant interest of mine. And after several meetings with Chief Sells and Officer Baker at South, we came up with the idea to do a Christmas stocking stuffer drive for children at Barium Springs. We spoke with them, and they sounded extremely enthusiastic about the project. They have not released a complete list of items that they would like to accept, but a couple of those items that they told us it would include would be things like hats, gloves, lip balm, earbuds, things like $5 gift cards to fast food restaurants, and things like sets of cards. And we would like to collect these donations through partnering with local businesses around Troutman, somewhere we can put a donation box with our poster and information and things we would like to accept. And we would also like to set up a GoFundMe account online where people who are interested but may not have the time to go out and purchase these items can be a part of it by going on there and donating a certain amount, which would go towards purchasing items that are needed but are not donated towards the cause. This would be a great program. It would definitely help out a lot of children. It'd make their day. And it's a good way for a police department to build a bond with the community and a great way for me to learn about law enforcement. It's just going to be a good idea if y'all can approve it. We would like to advertise it through posters, and the word of mouth would be a great way to get it around. And the local businesses that would allow us to place those donation boxes there people would see that and hopefully be interested in it. And with y'all's help, I think we can make it happen and make a lot of children happy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have one question, Luke.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you have, no peanut butter, would that just be no peanuts at all, or peanut does?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because we don't know what kids would have, what
Right.
allergies and things of that nature.
Okay, thank you.
Luke, do you know at this point how much funding, if any, will be required from the town to help your program?
I don't know of any at this time. We would like to get all the funding through donations.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the newly added request, the first one for tonight, in South Iowa High School, Megan Permitter. From South Iowa, is here tonight.
Are you gonna,
Huh?
you gonna do a motion for endorsement?
Oh,
Oh, yes, sir, I am. Is there now, the motion for endorsement of Luke's program.
So moved.
Oh, second, T. Ross. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no, I was trying to give him money.
We'll collect, we'll get donations, we'll be all right.
Now we'll go back to Megan.
What is,
What
did the library-
Make a request for the homecoming parade. Megan?
I'm here from South Iowa High School, and I'm a representative from our student council at the school. We would like to have a parade in celebration of homecoming this year, especially with the 50th graduating class, starting at the fire department in Troutman and then ending at our school on October 19th, starting around 6 o'clock in the evening.
Your motion to approve her request?
Motion.
Judy, second?
Second.
Sally or Betty, any discussion?
Anything they need, you need from us?
Just their approval, and I think we'll need the roads blocked with the police, because it will be going up the main street in Troutman and then onto Old Mountain, so right in front of Fort Myers.
And y'all spoke about that regarding the street.
Back here.
Our
Chief.
chief.
No, we have not yet.
no, this is a shocker.
You might wanna get him if you want to.
Well, what was funny was I saw it on the list of things for homecoming week, and I'm like, it said to TBA, and I'm like, well, okay, so when's that TBA gonna come to be announced?
We only recently got.
I know. How many floats do you have, you think, so far?
15? I'd say probably max at 15.
Okay.
That's just including cars with our mayor, if he wants to join the parade.
You invite me, I'll be there.
Okay, I'll send you a formal invitation. And then superintendent, and then
So you got,
Principal Ivy.
they will be in, okay.
They will.
And you will start at,
We'll start at 6 o'clock at the fire department.
Yeah, they line up at the
All
back of
floats,
the fire
end
department.
up at the high school.
And into the high school and go into our powder puff football game that night.
Good team.
Do we have the report from the
I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it.
Does that
It's not gonna
make
last
you-
long, it'll probably just about 30
Yeah.
minutes.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Megan.
Thank you.
Standing reports tonight. The first one is the Troutman ESC Park report by, thank you, Erica, Martinio.
Now Justin's still traveling back from Virginia, so I'm gonna read his notes this evening. The ribbon cutting event for the soccer field had a fantastic turnout. Several soccer teams were there for a group photo with Mayor Richardson, Ryu Goto, president of ESC, June Tutterow from Iredell County Parks and Rec, Jeremy Hapes with TYAA, and Scott Stewart represented Lowe's. Thank you again to everyone for their support. The Parks and Rec Committee recently sent out a letter to town residents included with their water bill. The letter asked for donations to support the pavilion and other planned amenities in the park. So far, we've received $400. We have plans to send out the same or similar letters to a wider audience that will hopefully bring in even more donations. We are researching the application process to apply for a grant that would allow us to put a sunshade over the playground equipment. There have been some concerns over how hot the equipment gets in the heat of the summer months. We actually started this process about a year ago. We had to have certain programs in place and meet defined criteria for a period of at least a year before applying. We have an Eagle Scout that is planning to install a couple of picnic tables along the walking trail in the park. That will be a great addition, as we currently only have one bench along that trail for visitors to utilize. The Fit Stations Subcommittee had a meeting yesterday to determine the placement of the fit stations along the walking trail. We've sent that recommendation to the Rotary Club for their consideration, and I believe once they have a meeting of their Fit Stations Committee, we should see a lot of movement on that project. LaBella and Associates will be conducting a design charrette at Trails and Treats on October 30th from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. In Troutman ESC Park in an effort to get feedback and input from the community on the design of the pavilion. And we'll have a design rendering at the ribbon cutting event on November 17th at noon. Wendy's night is October 26th. Please stop by Wendy's and pick up dinner between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. 20% of all dine-in and carry-out proceeds benefit the park. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Making it easy on there. The next standing report is from Miss Rebecca, is it 7 Keller this time or 8? Lopez, the new program specialist at the J. Hoyt Hayes Memorial Troutman branch of the library.
Hello, how are you guys? So Julie and I thought it would be nice to take turns and switch it up and present on different days. So I'm presenting today, and I'll also be presenting in November when she's at a workshop. So you can see me as well. So first things first, for the month of September, we began our career and technology lab classes. So we're really excited about that. It was the first month we had classes, and we've had a great turnout so far. We had one job skills class held by Juanita from Goodwill, and it had 4 attendees. We had 2 computer classes with Ben from Mitchell, each with 5 attendees. And then I led a resume writing class, which had 1 attendee, and we also had 4 one-on-ones. So the one-on-ones are basically an hour block. We can borrow any staff member, and they give us the topic they want to work on. So people did resume writing, computer skills, job applications online, that sort of thing. So at this point, we have 22 participants registered, and all the reviews we've gotten so far have been overwhelmingly positive, so really excited about that. Most comments just said more of the same. So we're doing that in October, so that's good to look forward to. Speaking of October, we have a very busy month. We have a total of 42 programs in 27 business days. Our Makerspace program actually began earlier this month on Monday with the 3D printer demonstration. So we borrowed the 3D printer from the main library. Kids came to see how it works, they got to try and use it, and they each left with their own miniature 3D printed item of business. So we'll get to use that throughout our Makerspace program, so we wanted to make sure they understood how it works, they could be around it and sort of see what it's all about. We also have several other Makerspace programs this month. We are doing something called Maker Mondays. So every Monday, every week from now until whenever we decide, essentially, we're going to have a Maker Monday program. So for October, we already have the 3D printer. We're also going to have no-bake cookies next Monday on October 12th. The following Monday, the 19th, we're going to do an altered books program where we'll get to deconstruct old books and recycle them into new crafts. And then we're going to do a do-it-yourself floor cushion program on October 26th. We'll have volunteers come in and teach them how to sew so they can make their own cushions for the young adult area. And we also have something called Family Makers, and those will occur on various Saturdays throughout the month. We have 2 for October. One is on October 24th, and it's all about apples. So they'll actually get to make their own applesauce, but it teaches them how they can go about using the apples they picked throughout the fall season. And then the final one is on Halloween, which surprisingly enough is pumpkin themed, and they will get to decorate their own miniature pumpkins to take home. 2 other notable programs in October are our handprint tile fundraiser, which will be October 24th all day, and anyone that would like can come in and get their handprint put on a tile along with their name and the year. We'll put it on the wall in the library, and it's $10 per tile, and that'll go directly to the Frenchville Library. So you leave your mark and kind of help the library programs throughout the year. And then the last important program for October is our annual Halloween party. It'll be Friday, October 30th from 2:30 to 4, so right before Trails and Treats. So everyone can come in their costume, play games, trick or treat, all that sort of thing, and then just walk on down the greenway and go to Trails and Treats. And then the last big thing I wanted to discuss was I recently went to the Association of Rural and Small Libraries Conference in Little Rock, Arkansas. I just got back earlier this week. And it was an overwhelmingly wonderful, beneficial learning experience. I brought back a lot of information that I hope to implement. I attended sessions concerning management skills, teen programming after hours, teen college prep, grant writing, and makerspace. So our other library employee, our library assistant, Viviana Sierra, is sort of working as our makerspace coordinator, so I passed along all that information to her from the conference. And then I'm choosing to focus on teen college prep and grant writing. I hope to use the Career and Technology Lab as a sort of double resource. So it'll be the Career and Technology Lab some days and then the teen college prep other days. So they can do test prep, they can have assistance in career choice and college choice and how to get in, that sort of thing. And then the grant writing, essentially I just took a training on grant writing. So I hope to use that and kind of get more money coming in so we can further our efforts to make the library a community space. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
When's your 3D printer coming back?
We have it, we still have it right now, we haven't given it back yet. We've been playing around with it. We got it about a week ago, and so we had it out for a Saturday just behind the counter, sort of us testing it out more than anything. And then the kids were going crazy over it. So we had the program, they loved it. They printed a mini, they printed Olaf, they printed a screw and a bolt, all kinds of little stuff. So they got
Sound like you wanna play with it. don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, by all means, come on down, it's there. We currently have pink plastic, so as long as you're okay with the pink printed item, more power to you. Yep.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
Jill and Steve, I think we about got a real library over there. Tell you what, it's great.
I'll try to keep this brief. I have two items. The first would be to ask the town board to consider a plaque to be erected either in the bell tower or more specifically, the general consensus of the library manager, but I would like to erect it at the flagpole where the lights will be shining on. This plaque, the idea for it came from one of our benefactors when we were the Iredale Citizens for the library, when we were trying to raise a bunch of money in a short period of time. And she's not doing well. It's Beth Cloninger, so it is. And one of our very faithful volunteers, Karen Nielsen, approached Paul Hinkle and myself asking if we could erect a historic marker notating that the property that the town owns, which is the acreage and the building, be recognized as the Academy School. That's the first school in this area, and that was where that school was located. So I'm asking, I guess, to make a motion. I would assume that the cost from some of the plaques I purchased, it would be around $150 to $200, and I'll have the friends pay for that. So I'll make a motion, or do I do that, or?
You just did it.
Okay.
I make the motion that we allow the Friends of the Library to establish the plaque, the location they're choosing. I know they'll do it in good taste and be very efficient with it, and it'll stand out and be a point of pride. So I make that motion that they be allowed to do that, and it goes.
Okay, the second item of business is most of, oh, sorry.
I've kept my finger up. Any discussion on that subject? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You got to keep staying ahead of that.
Thank you. The second one is, I present each one of you an invitation to next Thursday's third quarter Troutman Friends Library meeting. We'll keep it brief. And also it will be the Troutman Volunteer of the Year Awards presentation. This year's recipient will be Judy Taylor. She's very faithful, she works really well with the children's program. She does anything we ask. Also, there's going to be kind of an addition on our plaque board, if you will. The lady is Adele Schlosser. She's very helpful. She's, when she's in town, she comes in, works, Jeannie probably seen her in there if you know her. We've got a really good staff of volunteers. So she was actually nominated of all 3 Iredell libraries last year as Volunteer of the Year for the entire system. So we're honoring Judy Taylor for J. White Hayes as well as Adele. Also, the Friends of the Library, and Rebecca, I hope you get a lot of titles sold because we're gonna pick up the tab for the refreshments and snacks as well. So I'd like to extend that to, of course, you folks and the town staff too, if you like. That's next, and I'll tell you what's that. Next Thursday, 7:15 at DeVos Day Vineyards, 155 Litton Farm Road. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve, you dropped the pen down there when you were order meeting. You got going real quick there. But, thank you.
That's your opinion, that's your. Oh,
Next item on the agenda is comments from our visitors. Steve has a guest here tonight that wants to be introduced and make some comments for us.
I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. It's a Girl Scout who would like to talk to you about a project she has in mind.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Van Vliet. I am a current Girl Scout ambassador for Troop 10688 here in Troutman. I'm starting my Gold Award project that consists of 80+ hours for the community of Troutman. My timeline is to begin as soon as possible and be finished by the last of March. My goal is to work at the ESC Park, making the soccer field functionable with benches and any other items needed, create the walking track, create the horseshoe pits, and if I'm unable to accomplish the track due to it being an excessive project, I will speak with Missy Jablonski, my Gold Award advisor, about something else on the list that Steve Shealy has provided to my Girl Scout leader for the park to give back to my community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Anybody else like to speak tonight from the audience?
I'd like to say one thing there. I appreciate what our main man here, police force did for us. Me personally, but I requested Matt to go down to the 4 brothers and look that over, and I think Paul was involved in that. He called me. I appreciate that, Paul, for taking time and the man's interest in doing what's best for the safety for the people that's driving out of there. And also for Adam for cutting the bush down.
Oh, yeah. It disappeared quick.
Thank you, guys.
I got some candy apples out of it, so that's all.
Crap.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Mr. Troutman.
Mr.
Jim
Troutman is dead.
Oh.
I've got my little timer with me too. 30 minutes, so
Yes,
that's
sir.
right. It's
Yeah.
I will speak about streets, especially Litton Street. I'm really upset that Litton Street is not getting, the attention that it needs and should have gotten 3 years ago. And I have seen the, schedule that Ann has made out, and it was not at the top of the list. It needs to be at the top of the list. If they cannot finish it all, I feel certain that between now and bad weather, that they can install all the underground piping, water, sewer, whatever they need to put in the storm drain. They can also install all the curbing, and then they can put the stone in. If the weather gets bad after the stone's in, people will be happy that they've got that, because we know, everybody knows what they've got now, and it's not very good. And I've worked on all the streets in town in my 26 years of employment with the town, except Inglewood. I did not do anything over there because I was gone for 5 years. And, I got out with good behavior, by the way. But I feel sure that if Bell or whoever's gonna do it gets started on it right away, that can be accomplished. And if we get it down to the stone, let them run on the stone this winter, it's really good for the street, help pack it down. You got a soft place that'll show up, you can fix that. But I would like to request that the board paved, so they're not running in the mud, and I know Paul lives over there. The park, I have no idea what's gonna happen in the park, but, I think it's time to do something on that street. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Anybody got any comments about that request? We have heard your request, Jim. Thank you.
I just have one comment, and or question or anything. And I understand what he's talking about, the gravel, and it would help pack it down. But, from time to time, that will become, holes and everything, and then the gravel gets pushed out from the cars traveling. So who's gonna be responsible to redo the gravel?
Contract.
I didn't know if it would be.
Contract.
Okay.
And like I say, it's really good for the street.
Well, I
if
understand
happens.
that part, yeah,
'Cause
but I just
if you
didn't know
got a bad
if-
place, it shows up and you fix it.
Well, I didn't know if, I knew the contractor would be, liable for that, but would that end up being an added cost to the town?
It could be,
I don't know.
yeah.
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably, it's a unit price bid, so if we use more gravel than what was estimated, then it will cost more. There's no problem in doing that way, is my understanding from the engineer. It's just leaving it like it is over the winter, as we've just discussed. Plus, if we do it that way, we won't get any paving done this year. So, it's really kind of a toss-up, from what I understand, and I'm meeting with them tomorrow.
Still, like I said, it's better than what they got now. Have you been on it?
Mm-hmm, yeah,
It'll be a lot
Yeah.
better than what's on there.
right. And I think, Adam, you're keeping gravel on it, are you not?
On the
So,
worst parts, yes, ma'am.
You tell me what you wanna do, and I'll bring it to the engineers tomorrow. Just know that it probably will cost us more if we start it now, leave it over the winter, and then resume again in the spring. And we won't get any paving done at all this year if we go that route.
Well,
We don't know that we wouldn't, just depends on the weather.
Right.
Right, if it's mild winter, they can possibly work it in. If it's not, as we've already acknowledged, it'll be good to let it, pack even that much harder, and then get to it the next March, early April. And I would think any holes that would be few and far between. I can't see that much traffic that would cause that if they pack it down, well enough, to begin with, before they leave it for the winter. If that's even the situation, again, speculation, if it's a mild winter, I mean, here we are in October, the weatherman said tonight, afternoon, this is turning out to be a very mild October, we're talking 80 degrees even through next week up to, so, and I realize I could change in a second, but, my feeling is, and, I live on Patterson Street, but, poor folks over Linton Street have been suffering a long time. And, I as a resident of Linton Street, Patterson Street, I want to see them handled with priority, and do all we can to take care of them first. And only if the weather demands, will they, leave Linton Street for the season till warm weather sets back in. And then if they can do anything elsewhere, whether it's Patterson, Stark, in the meantime, during the winter, then I'll leave that up to Bell's discretion. But, my feeling is do all you can, Linton Street first, up until, as I say, that point that they can do no more, absolutely no more, until warm weather, if they have not completed up to that point.
And you said that Benji said that could be done.
No, not exactly. My impression is that it can be done. He definitely recommends doing it per the schedule that I sent you all, because of the danger in starting it and then leaving it over the winter. Plus, they'd be able to accomplish more if they started with Patterson. If we start with Lytton, it's pushing everything out. But he didn't say we couldn't do it, so I can just ask him tomorrow. We're all getting together, the contractor and the engineers, and I can ask him what the implications are in starting Lytton first and then send that out to you.
Paul's been in
Let you know.
politics a long time, he's got tough out.
Do what?
Patterson Street guys can come talk to you.
That's fine. Like I say, Lytton is take priority. That's all I'm saying. Lytton takes priority. They're to be dealt with, and, even if it, means a slowing down of the entire project, then so be it. Lytton is to be taken care of first. That's the bottom line.
That
to me.
motion.
That's a motion for me.
Second,
Second.
discussion further. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Any other comments from the audience?
Can I just say it from here? I just want to thank the board for getting In God We Trust put on the building.
And Adam for cutting down the bush so we could read it.
Yes, but I appreciate y'all getting that put up. And
Thank you. The next is the consent agenda, upon which all items considered to be routine by the town council have been, and will be approved all in one motion, have been put, and no separate discussion will be held on any of those items unless the mayor or the town council member so request. In which event, the item will be removed and placed as number one on the business agenda. Today, we have a total of 5 items on the consent agenda. Is there, does any council member wish to have any item withdrawn to discuss in the business? If not, is there a motion to approve the list of consent agenda items?
We already took care of 14 then.
14, yeah, we did, yeah. Okay.
That was in the.
Okay, that was
That
that motion.
motion.
Well, you got, yeah.
No, you still have to do 14.
It has to be approved twice?
This is-
It's a contract agreement.
Right, this is the agreement
Okay,
itself.
okay, yeah, we do it twice. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. New business. As a follow-up to the action of last month's meeting, the next item on the public is a public hearing on the request of NB National LLC for the non-contiguous annexation of 2.4 acres of their real estate. And I open this public hearing. Erica.
Thank you. It's located at 158 Houston Road. The property meets all the standards for a non-contiguous voluntary annexation, which were outlined in your packet, so staff recommends approval.
Anyone in the audience would like to make any comments to this request? Okay, I now close this public hearing. Is there now a motion to adopt ordinance 09-15 entitled an ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the county of Troutman, North Carolina, non-contiguous? Is there such a motion? T. Ross, with a second. Betty Jean, discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Oh, no. Did you say no? Did I hear a no down there?
You hear those again?
Yeah, but that's not on that side.
You can't pick on me.
That's fine. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the owner's request that the annexed property now be rezoned. I now open this public hearing. Erica?
Thank you. Now that the property has been annexed into the town, it must be rezoned from county zoning to town zoning. A 15,000 square foot industrial building is currently being constructed on the site. Current land uses in the area include industrial uses, undeveloped land, a church, and residential properties. Town of Troutman heavy industrial and highway business zoning has been emerging in this vicinity over the past several years in support of the town's land use plans. The town's comprehensive future land use plan shows this area becoming industrial in nature. The heavy industrial district allows for a wide range of non-residential uses, with the most intensive requiring a special use permit. Therefore, staff and the planning board recommend heavy industrial zoning for the property. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak to this request? I now close this public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 10-15 entitled an ordinance changing zoning classification of the after described property from Ireland County General Business GD to Town of Troutman Heavy Industry IH? Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Betty Jean, is there a second? Second. T. Ross. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. To complete this request is a now motion finding that rezoning item 15-04 is consistent with adopted town plans and that it is reasonable because the rezoning supports the industrial goal and the exit 42 priority growth area of the 2035 comprehensive future land use plan. Is there now, as outlined now, is there a motion finding RZ 15-04 to be consistent?
So moved.
Katie Jean, do a second.
Second.
Judy, discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those no. The next item on tonight's agenda is consideration of the council entering into a letter of engagement for economic services between the town and Keith Clark. Ann?
Thank you. At the council retreat earlier this year, there was significant discussion on enhancing our economic development resources. Included in this year's budget is funding for an economic development consultant. Keith Klopp is a local resident, a past member of the town's Planning and Zoning Board, a current member of the Troutman Business Council's Business Retention and Recruitment Committee, and has significant economic development experience from working with Mooresville EDC. The scope of work proposed for this position focuses on downtown commercial development, marketing and industrial development. The consultant's work is expected to supplement activities undertaken on the town's behalf by Statesville Regional Development. Our attorney has reviewed the agreement. If the agreement is acceptable for the duration of the current fiscal year, total payments will be capped at $7,200 plus approved expenses. The maximum monthly payments will be $800 payable upon receipt of an itemized listing of time and activities for the pay period.
Is there a motion to enter into this letter of engagement?
I'll make a motion.
Judy, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those no. Next item on the agenda is consideration of adoption of the town policy number 45, entitled Maintenance and Control of Vegetation on Public Property, Roadways, and Sidewalks. Alan?
Thank you, Mayor. Basically, as we discussed the other night, it's pretty much the same as what we're doing now. We just have it in writing. The only changes would be to pay a little more attention to downtown areas, commercial areas, local businesses, give them a little more, I guess, work, keep their curbs and sidewalks clean for foot traffic and just overall aesthetics. And then spending a little more time on undeveloped properties that contain sidewalks in front of them. Making sure they stay clear at all times of any debris or kudzu or anything like that, and just making sure they're getting sprayed. Right now we're spraying 3 times a year with Surfland, herbicide, and Roundup, and it seems to be doing pretty good on the areas we're hitting. So any time in between that we can spray more or less depending on how it's growing. So any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions, Adam? Is there a motion to adopt the town policy number 45?
So moved.
Katie Jean, second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The next item is the second newly added item tonight, which is consideration of accepting a grant offer for the amount of $41,763 for the police department. Chief?
Mayor and council, appreciate you taking a look at this. What's going on is that I know I've been putting in my staff reports that we've been reading them every month, usually about what's happening with the state. You know, the state's budget has finally, I think they got around. I don't even know if the governor has signed it yet or not, but I know the federal budget is moving real slow. So and that's money from what you call a burn grant, comes down federally down to the state, which the monies are then distributed out. I wrote 2 grants this year. One of them, I think I've talked to several of you about a body camera grant. Of course, I have not received that letter yet, so we're waiting. I talked to the Governor's Crime Commission, and they're very well short-staffed now. So there's like 400 grants and like 3 or 4 people working there. So they're trying to get everything out for everybody. But what this grant is, it's titled 2015 Troutman Police Department RMS MDIS integration. It is the implementation and integration of a current RMS, which RMS is a record management system, which we already have. We've had that system in since early 1990s, which it houses all our incident reports, arrest reports, citations, drug arrests, anything and everything that we've ever done, it's there and it's on that server, okay? And it would go in and purchase with the NDIS system. NDIS is a mobile data information system. This integration system will provide real-time information and data for officers during normal and high-risk situations. It's gonna give them more information. What this does is it integrates our RMS and NDIS. It's like there's a server here for the RMS, there's a server here for the NDIS, and they talk to each other constantly. It's like a live, computers are live machines, but they talk to each other. And if I would run Councilman Hinkle's name, and while I'm having stopped and pulled over, you know, it's gonna pull all the information back when Paul was a bad person. From when we dealt with him before. It'll pull all that information from when we dealt with him before, so the officers will know who they're dealing with a lot more, and if we dealt with them ever before, from back in 1990, all the way to 2015. I mean, everything that we do goes into that RMS system, and of course, you have to upgrade records management systems every year because you get all this information put into it. But like I said, this mobile data system, this server will provide officers with vehicle-to-vehicle dispatch chat. It'll provide AVL, which is, I don't know where Officer Bentley is on his computer. When he's signed in, everything's up, I'll know him. I'll look at a screen on my computer or somewhere else, we'll know where he is. I can be in a car and look at him, or I can be in the office and look at him.
When they're on duty and in their vehicle, computer's always on, is that correct?
Computer's always on. Computer's always on, we turn the car on, the cameras come on, everything comes on automatic. But like I was saying, it's AVL for vehicles and for different locations. It'll use the jurisdictional GIS map data, so it'll be a part of that. It'll run like we do right now with the Allen network, which I'll explain here a little bit about Allen. It'll run vehicle, person, OLN, article, gun, boat, warrants, missing, sex offender, domestic violence, all that stuff that you get when you run a tag automatic. It'll do all that too. Basically, we'll be in control of this system. We won't have to be branching out and have somebody else do it for us. We'll be in control. And it'll be going, because it's Southern Software, which houses our RMS system. It'll be part of Southern Software, which does our NDIS system. It'll do records management, master name search, like I was telling you about Mr. Hinkle, update CAD notes. Basically, this little machine here will be a mini CAD system to grow on. We'll have that base set up to grow on for later on down the road. And it'll do daily reports, which I love. You know, instead of having to type daily reports in, what the officer will do is do daily reports and spit them out every time they do stuff and things like that. I can zoom in on a call on a map. I can say, where is that? You know, and find out where to go. And then it'll be a mini CAD, basically automated. But like I was saying, you know, servers get old, and this is an opportunity to replace a server and then use an existing server to house all this video that we're gonna get. So we're gonna get a lot of video from body cameras and things like that. We gotta keep them for 90 days per state requirements. Unless they go to court, you gotta keep them longer. So I'm trying to get ahead of the game because the larger agencies that are doing these body cameras are running out of space. Okay, so trying to get ahead of the game. But what this is that this grant is for $41,753. The town portion, right now we budget for Allen, which is American Law Enforcement Network, which they are in control and they run the tags and all that. They're an outside person. We budget that to pay them every quarter. And I've kind of held back on that because I was trying to see if you're going to get this grant or not. And then we're going to use drug seizure money, which is monies that we seize, you know, to cover our costs. So we've already budgeted half of it, and then the drug seizure money, which we seized, use the other half. And then the reimbursement part, basically total grant will be $41,000, but we'll get reimbursed $31,000 from the state to do this grant and all that. And I included the grant project. This is what I write every year. It's an application, and it tells what our needs are and stuff, and I update it every year. This is number, 2007, 2008, and every year, 2015, they like what we do on our grants, and I kind of keep ahead of the times because I know that we got to keep doing it. And so it's just consideration for the grant. I got a lot of technology, a lot of, things I gotta work out with, shared resources to try to figure out which one to purchase. And I gotta tweak the grant a little bit, meaning move money inside the grant to cover the parts, because I can't go over that amount, period. So I might be able to get more for my money, and, I'm hoping that, kind of plan ahead for the future.
Does anything like this, Matt, get us any closer to being at least having countywide communication?
I would hope it would. I would hope the county would consider this company for their CAD system. If they did, then it would be perfect, What's happening is Allen's gonna go up in price next budget year. They're gonna go up a little bit more. And, Southern Software right now is $500 less than Allen. So if they go up per year, so we're gonna, right now it's $500 less, so if they go up, we're gonna be saving some money anyway, and we'll be in control. I like that idea. They've gone from programs they put on computers to web-based, where you sign in like going to Google Mail or whatever. I don't like that. You can't see it very well. I need some user-friendly stuff for the officers out there too. That's what it is, and I'm excited about it. This is an awesome thing, and I'm excited about it. So,
But you understand that 31,000 will be picked up by the federal government,
Right.
distributed through the state.
Yeah.
The other 10 will be picked up by drug seizure money.
the other 5, we picked up drug seizure money.
Say 5 and then 5.
5 will be what we budget every year for Allen. So basically, next year, once the system is put in, if it's put in, we'll be budgeting for what we have to pay Southern Software instead of Allen. It'll be less. So we're kind of saving.
Anything that we can do on our part now that can get us to countywide communication would be way ahead of the county. That's. I can't
Yeah,
believe
because
we're not
the county
doing
doesn't have a CAD system period on dispatch. No.
It can be.
We hope that they come in and do a good selling.
So again, 5 out of the budget. We're talking 5,000 out of the budget.
Right, correct, they've already budgeted for this year, yes.
So
I'm not asking for any new money. I'm not asking for any new money at all.
It's in the budget for this year, this year. It's new.
The 5,000 part is, and then I have to go see the money out of it.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Eddie, for a second. Dallas, discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Vote no. Thank you. The next item is the last additional item to the next agenda. This is an amendment to the town's fee schedule. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor. We'd specifically like to address the sewer tap fee tonight. For the past several years, our fee schedule has stated that the sewer tap fee is $1,000. However, if a road bore or open cut is required that has to be contracted out, then the applicant pays that entire cost. It's kind of vague, it's unspecified. We're not ever able to tell them how much that's gonna be until basically after the fact. And it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's fairly significant, like, $5,000 to $8,000 sometimes. I can only recall about 3 or 4 cases where we've had to do that. But, in the case of a small business or a homeowner, that can just be, just out of their reach. And, in some cases, they may be required to tap on, and then this cost is just excessive to them. What we're proposing is to raise our fee schedule to a flat rate of $1,500, and no matter, which side of the road you're on. Because, it's kind of staff's feeling that it's not the applicant's fault which side of the road that our sewer is on. It's not their fault if they're on the opposite side of the road. It's something they don't have any control over. So we feel like the tap fees that we do collect at the $1,500 rate will cover the few times that we may be required to absorb the cost of an open cut or bore. And we checked with other towns, and really it varies widely. Some towns do have a flat rate, some do charge a per foot bore cost, so it just,
Is it bored or is it cut?
it could be either.
The depth of the thing.
It could be either. It just depends on the depth and the size, location.
If it's on the main highway, you'd rather bore it than
We're on,
You hit a rock.
yeah, exactly. Go 100 foot deep.
What about, tap fees for water? You said sewer.
This doesn't affect water because we can put a water line under a road, we can punch that under a road. They're a flat $12.50 no matter what.
What are the difference between water and sewer? Why is it-
There's more materials involved in water, the setter and, the meter box and the meter itself and the tap.
Copper, we use all brass fittings, we use brass and copper setters, we use, our meters are involved in that cost, they're $300.
There's very little materials.
What are our tap fees for water right now, Steve?
Tap fee for water is $12.50. For sewer is, currently $1,000.
Yeah, 1,000, but on the other side of the street.
Could be whatever. Mhm.
But there again, my question being, if the water line's on one side,
Mhm.
residents on the other side.
Where the cost comes in a lot is
You
with the
understand
sewer.
what I'm saying? Why the difference between, the way it's set up
Well,
right now?
again, with water, it doesn't really matter which side of the road you're on. It's fairly easy to get to either side, if I'm correct.
With a sewer bore, you're looking at putting a 4-inch line under the road, at least a 4-inch line, for residential. Or a water line, we're punching a 3/4-inch hole.
Right.
And that requires a 6-inch bore to get the 4-inch line. And no municipality, unless Charlotte, somebody's has a 6-inch bore. But that's really where the big cost comes in with boring a sewer line. So,
That's a great question.
yeah, it's gotta be on grade and everything else, so they've gotta check their level, you know, going, where a water line, we just punch a hole, and if it's like this, it doesn't matter, cause it's pressurized. But you do have to check grade and make sure you have fall while pushing your bore into the road, it's just a lot more variables involved in boring a sewer line.
Okay, yes, all right. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adopt item 19, next to make this change in fees? Peter, is there a second?
Second.
Judy, discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The next item tonight is consideration of nominations, and or unless these were on the agenda still, I know we talked about some of the agenda briefly, and or appointments to the accounting boards, and committees. First the ABC committee, and then the Parks and Rec committee. All you and Peter also want to handle the ABC committee?
First, I want to say that this is an investigatory committee, not an ABC board. It is not an official, legally formed ABC board. It is just simply a committee formed to investigate how we want to proceed with setting up an ABC system, assuming that we do decide in the end to do that. Whether it's to partner with a surrounding ABC board or go our own, we're not doing anything at all. So again, this is nothing, this is not an ABC board, it's strictly an investigative committee, temporary ad hoc committee, whatever term you want to assign to it. We will be, Mr. Ross and I have talked, we're talking, and since we're not limited to the 3 or 5 members, if it were an official ABC board, we can, you know, but we don't want to overload it. Keep a good number where we have good talent, and give everybody a chance to express their ideas, discuss them, and move on, and we don't get bogged down with a lot of people and a lot of conversation that could lead us to nowhere, something substantive. So basically, we're talking 6 members. We mentioned a few others, we'll get to that in a minute. But I do want to say that I spoke with Keith Clark the other day and again today, and he and I decided mutually that he will not serve on this temporary committee. I want to, and I agree and agree with him and want him to stay totally focused on our economic development duties that we've hired him for, and I don't want him overload his plate. He is retired, and I don't want to take him any more away from his family as well than doing the duties we've hired him to do, as I just said. And so he and I mutually agreed that he will not serve on the ABC committee, and so I had spoken to Sally about that, and I'll let her handle that part of it when we confirm and vote on the names that we bring up. But I'll turn it over to T. Ross if he wants to add anything to that, and we'll go from there.
I think we got a good group of folks. This gets us moving. I think that's the important piece that people wanna see us doing something, so this committee will be charged with getting us moving on this issue.
You wanna name them?
Well, I'll turn it over south. The ones that we named, as the agenda briefing, Monday afternoon, this time excluding, Keith, will be, West Evanston, Macon Huffman, and Georgia Beams. And I'll turn the other, citizen member, make the motion from myself, to make the motion.
Plus you two, right? And then the other.
Well, yes, us too, of course, yes, and then Sally's, nomination.
And the name that I brought was, Bill Stamey, who, I don't know how many people, we've discussed this. He's a former, general manager of a Statesville ABC store, and he's very versed in how the operation works.
Former sheriff, yeah. Is this in the form of a nomination?
I will make the form of.
All those in favor of nominating, of appointing these now, the nomination, to the ABC committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Parks and Rec. Sally, you doing that?
Okay, we currently, have lost a member of the, current sitting Parks and Rec committee, and we have an alternate, Tamara LaBelle, that will be, hopefully, I'm gonna nominate her tonight, and we'll vote for her to step up to the position of the, committee. And do you want me to go ahead and do the alternate also, so we can go on?
Got it right.
Okay, and Carrie Bates, as the alternate for the Parks and Rec committee.
For a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Are there any other comments from the council tonight?
There's a couple things I'd like to say.
Sure.
One, just a question to Erica to see, it's been a few months, to see if we've heard anything back from the people that own the Exxon down at Julian Place about their sign.
We've heard that they're happy they got approved, but they haven't applied for their permit yet. They've had their corporate people called and verify that it's been approved, but they haven't turned in their plans yet.
Okay. And the other one is, I know everyone's aware of the tragedy that happened at South Iredell with the band boosters this past Saturday. I was informed earlier today that, and I could have this information wrong, but I was told that Concord High School Band, part of East Carolina, and UNCC bands will be coming to South Iredell tomorrow night for the football game.
Yeah, they're performing
Right.
I heard-
in places out, yeah.
I heard North Iredell and West Iredell are also gonna have.
They're gonna have
Yeah,
a, I think
they're
they're a
also-
mix, yeah.
Well, those are the ones that I was just told. And then if any, there has been a GoFundMe, account set up for them, and it's, rapidly increasing, which is great to see. And I was in touch with one of the assistant principals, and if anyone wants to donate money, it needs to go to the band boosters, not directly to the school.
And I need football team. Football band.
It's gonna be a lot of people there tomorrow because we're playing Lake Norman and both teams are 5-1, plus all these bands, so we've had to boost up a little bit, of gone from 4 to 7 officers working the band, and the school pays for it, so.
We got some parks available in the park.
Yeah, we can bus them too. It's gonna be busy though, it's gonna be packed. They might have to consider using some of the park.
It's a terrible tragedy, but I mean, that's fantastic that the community responded in that way. Any other, I'm sorry, yes, Steve.
Julie brought up a good point. As you know, in our dealings with the town, giving money for the library, going through a nonprofit such as the Friends of the Library, on a GoFundMe, our taxes required on that, so therefore you would have to go through, I guess the boosters are a nonprofit, so that's the
Right.
reason you said it, correct?
Mm-hmm. Because, an elementary school that I'm affiliated with, did a fundraising Tuesday, and the principal asked me to find out how we would handle that, and I talked, like I said, with an assistant principal, and he said it would, we just made a check out to the South Iredell Band Boosters.
That's the way we do it with Robin too. We get the money, we deposit, then we.
Right.
And the problem is, with GoFundMe, a lot of people don't realize, let's say I want to help out, I put it under Paul Hinkle's name, set up a GoFundMe. And I'm on legit, and I take $20,000 and I give it to South Iredell or to the band, the money's come through me, I've gotta pay tax on it.
That was the point.
So even though I'd say, well, I just gave it to the boosters, they said, but you received the money, it went through you gotta pay tax on it. So you have to be very careful on these GoFundMe fundraisers.
Any more you think? Unless you wanna go to Atlanta.
That's why I might not.
Anything else from the council? No else?
Oh, yeah, just a reminder, that this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we all got, a lot of us got together on Thursday last week for the kickoff, and there's a sign down here, and you'll see on some of the patrol cars in my sister's house, and I have a couple if anybody wants any more, put on their vehicles for the month, because I got like 20 of them, so. But I just want.
Purple ribbon?
Yeah.
I passed the Statesville
Yes,
officer's car
all the law
yesterday and saw
enforcement,
one on there.
all the law
Yeah.
enforcement cars have them on there. If you don't see one, let me know, and I'll make sure that they get it on there, because, it's a great event, trying to raise some money to help them out. And they're doing a 5K in November down at Zootastic, and we hope to really raise a lot of money for my sister's house for that way too.
Channel 9 WSOC did a special the other night, I think between 7 and 8, and they threw out or 7:30, 8:30, something anyhow. They threw out a statistic that really blew my mind, and I hope I'm repeating this correctly, but domestic violence occurs every 3 seconds in this nation.
That's right.
Every 3 seconds. That's sad.
Sad. Thank you.
Atlanta, that's huge.
Yes, it is.
That's the word.
Anything from the manager tonight?
Yes, sir. I'd like to report briefly on some water-related issues that we've been watching and tracking over the past few months. And in a minute, I'm going to ask Steve and Adam to report on some areas that they've been looking at. But first, I want to give you an overview. In 2012, we signed a contract with Energy United to purchase water. Part of that agreement was to purchase a minimum amount of water, whether we used it or not. Growth in Troutman has not yet picked up to the point where we are using all of that water that we're paying for. Keep that in mind as I tell you this next part, which is each year the town submits to the state updates on the local water supply plan. Within that report is a calculation of the amount of water that is unaccounted for, and that's commonly called water loss. Beginning in 2012, that calculation spiked dramatically. At that time, we questioned our consultants who filled out the report on how that was calculated and whether there was any chance it was calculated on the contractual amount rather than the actual water used. They said no chance. Well, a few months ago, we found out that that was exactly what was happening. So we've recalculated everything and come to find out that we're right now hovering about 19%, which is a good 0.5% less than what was being calculated before. That's one part of what we've been doing. The state standard is about 15%. And so right now we're looking at around 19%, which is gonna go down because we've replaced the 500 water meters, and Steve's going to report on that. And Adam contacted North Carolina Rural Water Association to conduct a water system audit to see if we have leaks. Because before we found out all these things, the number was unacceptable. So we were looking for ways to figure out what was going on. So Adam's gonna talk about that. So right now I'm gonna turn it over to Steve to talk about the water meters and what we've been able to project from those replacements.
Okay, we really struggled a little bit with how to figure out just what effect our meter replacement program had. As you know, we replaced about 600 meters. in, starting about April or so. And we've noticed, of course, that our revenue is up, but we didn't know how much of that is attributed to the 2% rate increase we had in July, how much is the fact that we do have growth going on, new houses being built, new businesses going online, how much is seasonal, how much is related to the drought. You know, we were very dry for a while, and people may have been watering. So what we did was took the 3 months of 2014, July, August, and September, this being about when we completed the project in 2015. So we looked at those 3 months compared to the same 3 months in this year, July, August, and September of 15. And we did it by routes, mainly focusing on the areas that had the most meters replaced. There are a couple of our routes were mainly new areas that didn't have any replacements, and those are also the areas that are growing the fastest, like down at Sutter's Mill and Streamwood and so forth. So those are newer areas, so they didn't have meters replaced, but they're also having a lot of building going on, so we tried to kind of omit those. We also pulled a couple of the larger 2-inch meters that we replaced just for comparisons as well. And what we found that we've got some pretty wide variation, but in Route 25, which is where Town Hall actually is located along Eastway and this area, it's a very significant increase, about 22%. Route 50, and some of these I'm not sure exactly where they were. I wish I had Angela here to tell me where what numbers correspond to what areas of town. But you see a 13% increase in one, a 31% increase in another.
Where's Route 60?
Route 60, I think, is the Jacobs Wood area, but I'm not certain of that.
I'm pretty sure that's where it is.
I know Route 30 had a large amount of meters replaced, and they had about almost a 7% increase. There's also very little building going on in that area, so that's pretty much the same houses. We're capturing, you know, much closer percentage of the water that's being sold as far as or what's being used. We're actually recording it much more accurately. So, and you can see the car wash had apparently a very worn out meter. There's gone up significantly. ESC, which is probably our largest water user, single user, theirs is up about 7.5%. We didn't do the schools because this time of year that we were looking at, there's so little usage because they were out for the summer. So we don't really have enough data really to compare on that yet.
Any questions of Steve? All right, then we'll turn it over to Adam for the water line audit.
All right. As Ann stated, we did call NC Rural Water. They provide a lot of free services to small towns. The water loss has been a concern of mine, as well as a lot of other people's around town and around staff. And so I just wanted to see what we could do to find where it's going, because we were just at a loss. We've been tracking water loss, or flush for water quality, drain tanks for inspections, things like that. But I knew they offered some services, so I called them. They offer ultrasonic leak detection service. And they came down, worked with us for about 2 or 3 days, went all over town. It picks up within like a 100-yard radius, any leak, through sound waves. It's a pretty neat system. And they gave us, after 3 days, a 0 leak status water system. So we have no leaks according to them, no leaks underground. So I was kind of, as bad as it sounds, I was hoping they would find some leaks. You know, I really was. That way I could see where my water loss is going. But they told us that they're 90-some% sure that in that system. So moving ahead, there's 3 steps in water loss system, I guess, act. And that is your audit, which is what they did, your intervention, which is what we're doing now, and then your evaluation when you're done. The intervention now, since no leaks were discovered and we're not aware of any, or including just better monitoring of our water loss that we're aware of. Sewer jetting, like I say, water flushing hydrants. We've been struggling with Sutter's Mill, Stillwater, areas like that with low chlorine residual, and having to flush those lines off a substantial amount to raise residual because there's just such little flow and so much infrastructure in the ground. So we're looking, and I'm actually talking to Benji also about putting a chlorine feed system in just on satellite areas that we could keep the chlorine residual up and not have to flush that water off. Because no matter how close we try to, you know, monitor that and estimate those gallons, it's tough. You know, we could put a hydrant meter on there and do that as well, but the amount we were doing it was just getting a little bit ridiculous. So we're looking at some other options there. But just want y'all to be aware that we are trying to stay on top of this, and I want it down more than anybody, so.
Is it possible that it could be, since I guess most of that water's coming from Energy United, through Energy United?
Yes, sir.
From them, that it's multiple meters that are measuring?
Well, they have their meter calibrated every year through an outside source, and we get the copies of that verifying that it's accurate. We have to do the same for Mooresville on our flow meters and things for sewer. So it's anytime you get, we're purchase systems, anytime you get your purchasing water, you want to see that verification that their meters are accurate. So they do provide that. So I thought about that as well.
What were they doing down at Statesville's pump station this past week?
Flushing water off for water quality.
Is it gonna do anything for the tuberculation?
That's what they're trying to do. If you can move water at a fast enough rate, sometimes it'll keep that tuberculation and break some of it free. But they probably need to pig that line before they see any results. But
Actually wants us to buy more water.
there you go. That's what it is.
We're not buying into it.
The price is half.
Yep. There you go. Yeah.
I'm only kidding. Anything else, Ann?
Nope, that's it.
Then, the next item on the agenda is the closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.1186 regarding personnel. Is there a motion? Steve, is there a second? Sally, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.